If you're a frequent visitor to this channel, you've probably guessed I'm a big fan of the ocean. I get miserable if I live more than an hour away from a coast. I support efforts to reduce plastic pollution in the oceans. I clean up trash from my local beaches. And I surf, like last weekend when I got to share the water with a pod of porpoises. Or maybe there were dolphins. I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist. Although, obviously, when I was in 5th grade, I was sure that I was going to be a marine biologist after a school trip we took to the Marine Mammal Stranding Center in Brigantine, New Jersey. Alas, not all dreams come true. I didn't become a marine biologist, but I am still a save the whales kind of hippie, you know? I support sustainable fishing regulations that attempt to limit bycatch, and I definitely support the outline of eating whales, at least for non-indigenous people who don't have to eat whales for survival. So I was surprised to learn recently that there is a Save the Whales campaign that I do not support. Check out this event that happened at Point Pleasant Beach last week, where 2 conservative U.S. Congress critters representing New Jersey got on stage to assert that whales are dying in droves right now due to offshore wind farms. And just to be clear, no, that's not true. That's not happening. Now, in the past few months, there have been more than 20 humpback and right whales that have washed up on East Coast beaches, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has counted 174 unusual mortality events up and down the East Coast since 2016. Biologists don't necessarily know why each one of these whales died because it turns out whale autopsies are pretty tricky. As Dr. Sarah Tabor noted in a thread over on Twitter, whale blubber apparently keeps their internal organs warm even after they die, which means that everything breaks down into mush a lot faster than they otherwise would. But in the 50% of corpses that scientists are able to examine, they find that they can definitively say about half of them are dead because they were struck by vessels or caught up in fishing gear. Many researchers think the number of deaths is rising because of the way we're changing our environment. It might be good stuff like cleaner harbors that invite more bait, or, as I reported last year, surveys do show that due to climate change, the distribution of phytoplankton is changing, and it's changing quite drastically in some places. Regardless, all of this means that baleen whales like humpbacks are changing where they need to go to find food. More whales are now seen close to shore, which means that more whales are at risk of being caught by fishing boats or hit by all of the different kinds of traffic that are moving in and out of our harbors. That's what happened, for instance, to the most recent whale found dead on a New Jersey beach, which was able to be examined by my very own 5th grade love, the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. Surprisingly, even though there were no outward signs of damage to the body, an internal examination revealed that the animal had been hit by a boat, though the researchers are still working to figure out if that happened before or after she died. It's tricky due to the whale's advanced state of decomposition, possibly blubber related. So while researchers have a good hypothesis for what's happening to most of these whales, a lot of these deaths remain not fully explained. As always, wherever scientists admit a lack of omniscience, bad actors pop up to offer conspiracy theories that help fill in those gaps. And in this case, the bad actors are people who want to stop green energy from basically putting the fossil fuel industry out of business. So they're claiming that wind farms create noise that are disrupting whales' navigation patterns, despite the fact that these whale deaths predate any wind farms in those areas of the east coast of the U.S., and despite the fact that NOAA has stated that there is zero evidence wind farms have had any role in any of these whales' deaths. As Tabor pointed out in her thread, wind farms do use sonar to map the ocean floor and determine what kind of foundation they're going to need to build to support the turbines. But that sonar they use pales in comparison to the heavy-duty machinery used by the military and, surprise, surprise, the oil and gas industry, who use ground-penetrating sonar to pierce bedrock looking for new places to drill. But you won't hear Republican lawmakers like Jefferson Van Drew and Chris Smith complaining about the oil and gas industry's impact on whales, nor will that argument be appearing anytime soon on Sean Hannity. What you will hear is that if you want to save the whales, you will vote against new offshore wind farms, which will provide an extremely stable, renewable energy source to population centers up and down all of the U.S. coastlines, essentially rendering oil and gas completely unnecessary. It's worth noting that right now, this seems to be a localized issue in seaside towns targeted by Republicans, but with Fox News getting involved, be prepared for this to become a much bigger national issue. Previous attempts to stop wind farms have focused on them ruining the view, for instance, but that didn't really catch on because apparently most Americans don't really give a shit whether or not billionaires can see evidence of human progress through the bay windows of their beach houses. But saving the whales, that actually might catch on. I'll end with a quick note about how wind energy is not perfect. A lot of people responded to my video a few weeks ago about electric school buses with ridiculously ignorant takes about how electric is bad too. And you know what? That's actually on me for not realizing you would say that and linking to the copious amounts of research that shows that the overall cost of wind and solar technologies is far less than that of fossil fuels, and that the Earth has more than enough resources to support 100% of our projected future energy needs with wind and solar, despite their respective carbon requirements. And if you are worried about the health of workers extracting those resources, which I also saw some comments about, then guess what? Your problem is not with solar or wind, but with capitalism, lack of regulation and oversight, and economic inequality. And I agree with you. Anyway, so wind isn't perfect. The location of wind farms must be chosen carefully in order to avoid disrupting the migratory patterns of both sea life and, perhaps even more importantly, birds. Studies suggest that wind turbines in the U.S. in 2013 and 2014 killed somewhere between 140,000 to 680,000 birds. Now, to put those numbers into perspective, a study published in 2013 found that free-range domestic cats in the United States killed somewhere between 1.3 and 4 billion birds. Yeah, that's billion with a B. So wind turbines, 500,000 birds, cats, 4 billion birds. So yeah, save the birds. Keep your cats inside. Have your pets spayed or neutered. They also killed 6.3 to 22.3 billion mammals. And you know what's a mammal that's been dying a lot? That's right, whales. So clearly, if New Jersey residents truly care about Earth's creatures, they'll impeach Jefferson Van Drew and replace him with, I don't know, Alf?
Let's have a snack now. We'll get friendly later.
Snack? What kind of a snack?
You got a cat?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.